we are drawing castles today. Hopefully you've looked at the PDF on Google Classroom so you have some ideas for castle drawing. The only things you need today are a ruler and paper and pencil. After we're done drawing, we can either do shading with pencils or we can add color. Okay. The first thing I'm going to think about before I even think about my castle is where my castle is and how close my castle is to me. Is my castle going to be far away on some kind of hill, hidden by some trees? Is it going to be up close like I'm about to walk into it? So you have to think about where you want your castle. I am going to put my castle on a hill. And I think it would be cool if there was a pathway leading up to my castle. Your castle does not have to be like this. If you saw some of the examples on the PDF, some had big castles up close, and that is another option for you. Okay, so as you are drawing, you want to think about your location and not just your castle, but also the details about where the castle is and what might be around it. So as I'm drawing, I'm using basic shapes and lines like curved lines and squares, rectangles, straight lines. Okay, I might add some textures by creating rock shapes or bricks. Okay, I might add windows. I could make my door covered by either a gate or wood to block the path of any intruders. I could make this look more like a ruin if I made my edges more broken. Or I could make it look like a brand new castle by keeping nice straight lines. Could think about the other parts of the castle. Are there watchtowers sticking up? Or maybe this is only the first layer of the castle. What is behind this castle? Is there more buildings that are going to be sticking out behind it? But all of these are just lines and shapes that I'm putting together from my imagination for what I want my castle to look like. And you guys can look at some of those examples in the PDF. You can look up some examples with Mom and Dad's help, what other castles might look like in real life, so that you could come up with some ideas. Or you can just work strictly from your imagination. How do you imagine that it would look? So just try to be creative and have fun with it. That's our goal here, to kind of get a break from everything else that's going on and have some fun with our ideas. What I'm doing here is I'm creating some different textures for you so you can see. This would probably be made of wood. This is made of stone. This part here, this would be made of bricks, the way I'm drawing it. So one of the things you can do too is think of different textures and different materials that might be used on your castle. Okay. Once you have your main castle drawn and all your details, you also need to think about your surrounding area. Okay, so I can think about if there's going to be maybe some forest area behind or around my castle. I can think if there's rocks on the path to my castle. Maybe some dirt on my path, some grass. Maybe down here there is another tree. This tree is bigger than these because it's farther, or this tree's bigger than those trees because it's closer to me, just like the pathway is wider here. So that gives me some depth. And again, I'm creating texture with the kinds of lines and shapes that I'm using. Okay, so really try to be creative on what your castle environment looks like and where your castle is. And make sure you draw lightly with that pencil so that if you change your mind, you can erase very easily and create new ideas. Okay, now once you have your drawing done, you're going to decide if you want to add any shading to your picture. Do you want to add color? Do you want to outline? If you check out some of the other videos that I've done on YouTube this week, you'll see some examples of tracing with Sharpie or markers, coloring with crayons or colored pencils, using watercolors. So today I'm going to do some shading with my pencil. So if you want to try that out, you can see an example. And this really is about not only adding value, but adding to the textures. Okay, so I want to color in things either dark or light or medium with my pencil. And the trick here is that the harder I press with my pencil, the darker it is. So if you can tell, these vertical bars are lighter than these dark bars that I put in the back. And then I'm going to also kind of shade so it looks like there's a shadow cast inside here. And it's going to get lighter as I go in. So as I add these things, it adds what we call dimension. And it can help make things look more realistic. Okay, and there's lots of different ways to do shading with blending, scribble marks, dots, straight lines. These are all things that we'll learn about more. But for the meantime, you can just kind of have fun and experiment and see what you think, what you like. What's your favorite way to finish your picture? Do you want to add value? Or are you more of a color person? Is color more important to you? Okay, so that's something that you can think about while you're working. And while you're adding your color and your shading, you might decide that you have ideas for more details. So that's always fun too as you go if you think of more details. So like I have shaded and put in a little candle in my window over here. And now I'm going to keep going. So you can get an idea of what it's like to use shading for a picture. And this is, again, a great option, especially if you don't have a lot of colors at home, or if you just want to get better at using pencil drawing. You can see some great examples of some of the pencil drawings that some of my older students have done if you go to our Artsonia page or Instagram or Facebook, where we've been on Twitter. So if you want to get some inspiration on how kids use pencils, you can check some of those places out. Or you can just contact me during office hours on Google Classroom, through Zoom, and we can find all the kinds of different ways to share our ideas. And then especially important, don't forget when you're done making your castle to get a picture of it and put it up on Google Classroom so I can see what you're working on and we can share it with our classmates so that we can still feel like we're part of the same classroom even though we're kind of far away from each other right now. Okay, so there's just a start to how to get shading. And again, if you don't want to do shading, you can do colored pencils, markers, watercolors. You can do like this and have the castle far away, or you can have your castle super close or somewhere in the middle, and you can give it any kind of background. Maybe your castle is on Mars. Maybe your castle is in ruins. Maybe there's an army walking up to your castle. I want to see your most creative and fun ideas, guys. Okay? All right, have fun creating.